everybody, welcome back to Bad Luck Garage and to another DR Nova video. So if you guys remember a couple videos ago, or maybe in the last video, I don't even remember anymore. Anyway, Ray and I pressure washed the whole engine bay here to get it prepped to paint, and my objective after that was to come through, wipe everything down with alcohol, take some tape, aluminum foil, what have you, and mask off the areas we don't want painted and shoot this thing with paint. But I almost forgot something very important here. The factory heater core on the small block Novas, if you can see, the heater core hoses actually come out right here. Well, the problem is when you put a LS engine in one of these, I'm not so sure about the top hose, but I know the bottom hose seems like it wants to come out and hit the back of the engine, and a lot of this has to do with what engine mounts you use, you know, etc. But from what I've been researching, the easy way to fix this, or I don't know how easy it's going to be, but the way most people fix this is they switch to a big block Nova heater core. So on the big block Nova, instead of the heater core outlet and inlet coming out over here, they actually come out over here, like around the middle of the heater box here. So after a little research, a little looking around online and at some local parts stores, I'm going to show you what I found. As usual, the best deal I found to get the actual box was on eBay. I will put links for this in the description, but I was able to get this whole new big block heater box here for I think it was around right around $50 shipped, and it came with the new foam gaskets here and everything. The real problem came when I went to look for a heater core. The cheapest heater core, big block heater core I could find online was actually over $100. So what I decided to do is go to AutoZone at the end of the street, and this is what I found, guys. This is the part number for the Spectra premium heater core. And what was so funny about this is we looked up heater cores for every Nova that they had a heater core for, small block, big block. None of them looked anything like the heater core I needed. What we finally ended up doing was finding a heater core that was, it was actually listed for a 67 Camaro with a 396. So, and you know, so if you go to AutoZone and they're not finding what you need, it's listed for a 67 Camaro with a 396. That's the only heater core that I found that actually looked anything like the heater cores online. And you can see that heater core is going to line up pretty good there. May have to tweak it just a bit. Anyway, guys, so that's where I got the heater core. Like I said, I'll put a link to the heater box in the description, and let's figure out what we got to do to get these swapped out. If you look at the new box here, I believe there's going to be a stud here and a stud in one of these two holes, which is actually going to be, from the looks of it, like up here in the fender. So I'm going to check that out real quick, guys. We may actually have to take the fender off this car to do this. I know you guys like me to show you shit, like real shit. Like skip all the fake ass shit and just show you how stuff like this really is. So that's what I'm about to do. I was going to take the fender off. I had all the top bolts out. There is a bolt inside the door. You have to get to it with a wrench. It's back in there. So you have to kind of go in this way, get to it with a wrench. Got that out. I had taken these two bolts out, etc. And I crawl under here to get the bottom bolts out. And turns out, I don't know if you guys can see that, it's pretty hard to miss. The whole bottom of this freaking fender, that's all Bondo, guys. Every bit of this, that's Bondo. And they have actually bondoed the bolts in. So at this point, I think what we're looking at is probably having to get a new fender on this side. Well, there ain't no probably to it. We're gonna have to replace this fender, but for the time being, I don't feel like tearing a big chunk of Bondo out and fighting with these bolts. So what I decided to do is to try to take the inner fender well out. And, you know, I'm hoping once the inner fender well is out, I know I can get to the bolt on the bottom with it out. I'm hoping, and I'm pretty sure I can. I think with the inner fender out, I can reach the bolt on the top too. So we should be good just taking that out. But then I ran into a roadblock there too, guys. You got to keep in mind, guys, I don't care what you're working on. You know, we're talking about a 40-some-year-old car here. Shit's gonna be rusty, shit's gonna break, and shit did break, and shit is rusty. But first off, I had a clip right up in here that broke off and just kept spinning. So what I had to do is try to take as many of the other bolts out as I could. Then I had to reach in here with a screwdriver and kind of wedge it in that clip to keep it from turning and get that last bolt out. Now, we had other bolts that broke off, and currently I'm still wrestling with this bolt, and I'm waiting for some WD-40 to soak in on the other bolt. But on this bolt, the little weld, well, you can't really see it here. Well, you can see these bolts have these clips that go on that you screw into, but on the back here, they're not clips like, here's a better shot of those clips. They're not clips like this back there. They're like tacked on little squares, and that's the problem, is that one bolt, the square has broken off and it's just spinning. So I'm actually going to clamp a pair of vice grips onto that one. This one over here is fighting me. It hasn't broke off yet, so I'm letting it soak with WD-40, and you know, if it breaks off like that one did, then I'll do the same thing. I'll snap some vice grips on it, but I'm giving it a chance with the WD first, and that's where I'm at, guys. I believe I got all the other bolts out, so once I get these last two bolts out, we should be able to pull this inner fender out and finally get to our heater core box there. But you guys wanted to see real, you want to know why it takes so long to do little piddly shit? This is why. So in a completely surprising twist of fate, the rust actually ended up working in my favor. This is actually a part of the fender, guys, the outer fender. I could not get this bolt out, could not get this bolt out. Now that I have the inner fender here out, honestly, I'm probably just going to cut these off to get them out of here, and then bend this. I think this is supposed to be bent up straight. But yeah, we're definitely going to need a fender on this side. It's just completely rusted out. Somebody has just bondoed the shit out of it and painted it. So now we know. I'm going to go ahead and remove these perimeter bolts. And like I said, there's a bolt underneath right there. I think you can see it. And there's a bolt up here too, inside the fender. That's why we were going to take the fender out. But I think now that the inner fender's gone, I believe I can reach right through the inner fender here with a long extension and get that. So yeah, and there you go, guys. You can see all the Bondo caked right there in that fender. In the wee hours of the night, something amazing happened, and this extension actually went right into that top bolt. So yeah, don't have to take the fender off for this, guys. The inner fender is enough. Now, with any luck, which is something we're not used to around here, should be able to, yeah, pull this guy straight off. Aha! There it is, guys. There's the old heater box and our blower motor and all kinds of trash in there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but there's all kinds of trash in here and all kinds of trash in here. So it's probably a good thing we're doing this. I thought this heater core was going to come out through the front here, but it looks like okay, so I think what happens here is it feels like there's something else holding it. But I think what we have to do is actually drop the inner box now. Like all these nuts that I took off, these are studs. So it seems like for the most part the inner box is loose now. So we'll go inside and pull that out. Correction, the the piece of rubber hose up here was all that was holding it. After I moved that rubber hose, I just kind of pushed on this, and yeah, you can see it's falling down inside the car there. Alright, so story time, guys. What we have here is our old heater core, which, by the way, I have not removed the inner box yet, but it was held in with this little bracket here. It goes on top of the heater core, I guess like this, and pushes down, and then it's just got 2 screws going into the inner box. But that's what was holding it down. So I'm hoping that'll work with the new one. I mean, they look like they're about the same size. The only problem is the new one is a little bit thicker. So I don't know if, let's see if we can tell by comparing. I mean, you really can't tell this way. Actually, it looks like the old one's thicker when you look at it this way, but the end caps on the new one, these pieces right here, are thicker. So I'm not sure if that's going to affect the way it goes in here. It's my understanding that the inner box is the same, big block or small block. It's just the outer box that's different. So before I try to take the old inner box completely out, like I said, I was able to just take 2 screws out of this bracket, and then it pulls out and the heater core came out. So before I try to take the whole inner box out, because to take the inner box out, I'm gonna have to disconnect all the cables, and the previous owner of this Nova has actually got a bunch of gauges and shit that's gonna make that kind of difficult. Not impossible, but difficult. So I'm gonna see if I can go ahead and get this new heater core in first. If I can just vacuum out all the crud out of the box and put the new heater core in without having to take the inner box out, then that's what I'm gonna do. All right, so good news. It does not look like we're gonna have to take the inner heater box out to do this. This is our original bracket, and originally it went on this side and pushed down like that. Well, originally this part of it was kind of like rainbow shaped, like this, to, I mean, give it like a springing action, I guess. So all I did was took a pair of needle nose pliers and I flattened these out to where it went straight across instead of being, you know, like an arch. And this actually fits perfect now with our new heater core. And then over on the other side, I just pushed this in and it looks like it's going to fit as well. You know, on our old heater core, it clipped on and it pushed down here and here. Now on the new heater core, it's not going to actually fit into slots like this, but it's got just enough spring that I can push it down and it clips onto the inner box there, and it still seems like it's pushing down. Now, I may actually bend these out slightly just to get rid of a little bit of the spring so that I don't have to worry about this trying to pop off. But yeah, guys, so this part number right here, Spectra, and again, this was from AutoZone, Spectra 94492, or it might be this number here, this 399055. But it was a big block heater core for a 67 Camaro, and you know, like I said, just bending the clips a little bit, it fits right in there. So far so good. And this heater core was only $55 as opposed to all the ones I saw online that were like 100 plus. So pretty happy so far. I'm gonna get over here and try to get these in and see if everything lines back up. There it is, guys. You can see well, this heater core goes in like, well, like it was made to. Yeah, there's my bracket over there holding it in, and then there's, if you can see it, there's the little spring bracket slipped all the way on. It flattens the prongs out on it, but you can see this thing's not going anywhere. I don't know if you can, there we go. Now you can see. Yeah, it's not going anywhere, guys. So we're good to go. Didn't even have to take the box out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and hook this one cable back up in there that I took off, and I'm going to go ahead and put the inner box up here, put the studs back through the wall here, and we'll go from there. Now that I got the box pulled forward, you can kind of get a better look at, or maybe you can't, but you know, at the clips that hold the heater core on there. And there's this clip on this side. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Ray a little ding-a-ling and ask him if he wants to, oh God, that did not even sound right. I'm going to give Ray a call. How about that? And ask him if he wants me to reuse his old fan or if he wants to go ahead and replace it. After talking to Ray, he said if the fan was good to use it. So I actually just brought a battery over here, hooked 12 volts to it. The fan works, so I'm going to go ahead, take the fan off of here. Now before I put it on the new box here, I'm going to go ahead and test fit this box just to make sure it's going to go on here. Well, I am so glad I tried to test fit this. Turns out this top hole right here is too small. Now you can see in our bracket here, you know, the bottom hole here is about the same size, but this top hole is supposed to be larger because the outlet on that, or the inlet, I'm not sure which it is, but it's larger on the heater core. So this hole is too small and the heater core outlet will not fit through it. It fits through this fine, and of course the gasket goes over it just fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a step bit and I'm going to bore this hole out a little bit. I did not spend a shit ton of time cleaning this thing, and there are two reasons for that. One is because it's like freaking 18 degrees outside right now, and I'm not going out there to clean parts. And two is because this guy is going to be shoved up in the fender. You're not really going to see it much anyway, so not really worried about what it looks like. I just don't want it all greasy and shit. Before we put this back on, you're going to notice there is no seal. There's like a putty type material here from the factory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gasket scraper here, and I'm just going to get all this old putty off. And what I'll probably do is, if I can't find another putty like this, I will most likely just use like RTV or something like that. But I am going to run to the auto parts store and see if I can find a putty. I'm going to address a couple areas of concern here. First issue is where the inlet and outlet used to come out here. We now have a big open gap. So I think what I'm going to do is, I mean, if I could weld, I would probably, you know, weld that up. But I think my best option here is I'm going to kind of try to follow this line and make it look like it comes around and then goes back down to this line. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of sheet metal. The other issue is this wire right here. I don't like just having this this wire stuck out in the middle of the engine bay. It actually makes no freaking sense. I don't know why GM did that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to push this wire back into the firewall, and I'll probably pop it out down here, since, you know, it has to plug in right here. So that way, instead of having this wire draped across like this plugging in, it'll be coming out down here somewhere and just come up and plug in. So yep, I'm going to push that through, and then I'm going to get started making my template. So there is our block off plate. What I did is I made it to where I could go ahead and mount the box and just leave it loose and then slide the block off plate in. So yeah, that's it, guys. I'll probably just to be honest, I would like to make it out of some thicker sheet metal, but you know, that's about as thick as I can cut with snips. I do not have a bandsaw, but later on, if I get access to a bandsaw, I might just take this one off and trace it out and make one out of a little bit thicker metal. That's why I designed it the way I did. I was just going to drill holes in it and put it all on as one unit, but I figure if I made it to where it slips in behind the box here, then I can always change it out pretty easily, just pull it out and make one out of thicker metal at some point. So all I'm going to do with that really is I'm going to pull it off, sand it real good. I need to try to contour it around just a little bit right here. So I'll probably pull it off, contour it a little bit, sand it down, shoot it with some etching primer, then put it back on here, and yeah, along with our box, and we should be ready to paint, guys. So the only thing I'm waiting on at this point is some like some Permatex, or I'm hoping I can find some of the putty like they use from the factory here to seal this box back up. So I don't think I'm going to show that. You guys pretty much see how it goes together. Yeah, I mean, that's it, guys. Like from here, I'll put Permatex or putty behind it. I'll put it on, tighten these up, put the 2 bolts in, you know, in here inside the fender. I've pushed my wire back in. I'm going to bring it out down here. There was also an amp wire here. There's 2 subwoofers in the back. Ray has decided he wants to keep those, so I'm going to run that amp wire out down here, probably the same hole that I make for the blower motor wire to pass through. But yeah, I mean, beyond that, all that's left to do is I'll take my foam gasket here, and I mean, I'm just showing you since I'm probably going to finish this video before final assembly, but I'll just take this foam gasket, I'll push it on there like that. Then we've got this plate right here. I'll stick it over here like this, put my screw there, and we're done, guys. Instead of the heater hoses coming out over here now, they'll be coming out over here, so we'll have plenty of room for our LS engine when it goes in. Okay, guys, so that's it. I know you guys aren't going to see the final assembly, but I want to go ahead and edit this video. I literally just showed you what to do. Once that's done, I'm just going to throw the inner fender back in for now. Ray said he's going to get a new fender to go on that side, so you know, we'll deal with that when the time comes. But it's kind of late right now. All the auto parts stores are closed, so hopefully tomorrow after work I can get by one, try to either get some putty or some gasket maker and get this thing put on permanently, get the fender well in, and hopefully the next video you guys see will be probably me painting the engine bay or getting it ready to paint or something. But I would like to have the engine bay painted before this coming weekend. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Click the subscribe button if you want to keep up with the DR Nova build or the China Vet build. I've got about 3 hours of footage to try to condense into hopefully 20 minutes or less. So get out in the garage, get something done, and I'll see you next time here on Bad Luck Garage.